Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. As the Liberal Party searches for its next leader, two more members of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet have announced they will not seek re-election. Justice Minister Arif Virani and International Trade Minister Mary Ng join several high-profile Liberal MPs over the past 12 months who have decided against seeking another term. I say this with a heavy heart and after considerable soul-searching for the past several weeks, Virani said in a statement posted Monday to Twitter. But after the next election, my fight for Canada will no longer take place from inside the House of Commons. Virani, who was appointed to Trudeau's cabinet in 2023, thanked the outgoing Prime Minister for the opportunity to serve first as a parliamentary secretary, then as a cabinet minister. Virani also described the sacrifices he and his family have had to make while working in politics. Virani's decision not to run in the next election opens up a Liberal nomination race in his Toronto riding of Parkdale High Park, a seat the Liberals wrestled back from the NDP in the 2015 election. Ng, who has served in cabinet since 2018, did not provide a reason for why she was not seeking re-election. Two men have been charged after police in Durham region say they seized almost 5 kilos of crystal meth during a Super Bowl ride program. Durham Regional Police Service DRPS say they pulled over a black Volkswagen SUV on Sunday during a ride checkpoint near Consumers Drive and Garden City in Whitby after officers allegedly detected an odor of cannabis. A search was subsequently conducted under the Cannabis Control Act, which resulted in the seizure of close to 5 kilograms of methamphetamine, they said. Darren Simpson, 31, of Whitby, was charged with 2 counts of possession of a Schedule I substance for the purpose of trafficking cocaine crystal meth, while Adam Prasad, 34, of Oshawa, was charged with 1 count of each of possession of a Schedule I substance for the purpose of trafficking crystal meth, operate motor vehicle with cannabis readily available, and operate motor vehicle with liquor readily available. The accused were both held in custody for a bail hearing. Last night, DRPS ride team stopped 344 vehicles during the Super Bowl ride line. 2 drivers were arrested for failure or refusal to comply with the demand. They were both criminally charged and face automatic roadside sanctions. Anyone who suspects that a driver is operating a vehicle while impaired is urged to call 911 immediately. This investigation is ongoing and anyone with the information about this incident is asked to contact Constable Rafet of the Community Resource Unit at 1-888-579-1520 extension 2943 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Police have revealed a 49-year-old man killed in a massive pileup on Highway 11 in Orillia, Ontario on Friday had stepped out of his vehicle during a blinding snowstorm. Police say the victim was struck by another vehicle in the multi-car collision that injured nearly a dozen more and left 50 drivers stranded for hours. The tragic incident prompted a strong warning from provincial police to motorists involved in collision to remain in their vehicles. Friday's crash shut down the highway for 12 hours as emergency crews worked tirelessly to clear abandoned vehicles and help stranded drivers, many of whom were taken to a temporary warning center. Several motorists told Awaz News leaving their vehicles on the highway came at a hefty price. One man said he had to pay $925 towing bill and an $85 storage fee after his truck was towed less than a kilometer from the crash site. OPP Acting Sergeant Jake Danes said officers had no choice but to prioritize public safety. The Insurance Bureau of Canada confirmed insurance policies don't cover towing fees in these cases. There is no coverage under insurance because being forced to evacuate or leave your vehicle is not an insured peril under the auto insurance policy, explained Annie Marie Thomas, the Bureau's Director of Consumers and Industrial Relations. The Bureau advises drivers to retrieve their vehicles as soon as possible to avoid additional storage fees, while police remain focused on safety. Ontario's NDP and Liberal leaders tried to keep voters focused on healthcare Monday, even as actions by the US president threatened to once again draw attention elsewhere in the provincial election campaign. Progressive Conservative leader Doug Ford has tried to make dealing with President Donald Trump the ballot question in the snap February 27 election. He called and kept his sights set on those external forces on Monday. Trump has said he intends to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports into the United States as of Monday, and Ford said at campaign stop in Oakville, Ontario, that he spoke in the morning to heads of Stelco and Dofasco. He announced that if re-elected, he would ban Chinese equity from Ontario government-funded energy, critical mineral and infrastructure assets. The Progressive Conservatives said there has been no Chinese equity in government-funded energy projects during their 7 years in government. The announcement came one day ahead of mid-campaign trip Ford is set to make to Washington, D.C. with the other premiers to push back against the broad tariffs Trump has threatened against all Canadian goods. The other party leaders have expressed concerns about the potential tariffs, and NDP leader Marit Stiles added a last-minute stop to her Monday itinerary to talk to steel workers in Hamilton, but want to keep talking the voters about health care, which they see as a weak spot for Ford. Government figures previously obtained by the Canadian press through a Freedom of Information request show that Ontario will need 33,200 more nurses and 50,853 more personal support workers by 2032. Stiles announced that she would hire at least 15,000 nurses over 3 years at a cost of $1.5 billion, establish safe nurse-to-patient ratios so patients get more care and nurses don't burn out, and end reliance on for-profit temporary health care staffing agencies. Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie once again highlighted her plan to ensure everyone in Ontario has a family doctor in 4 years. Ford's $189 million election call is meant to distract Ontarians from the family doctor shortage, Crombie said. Canada's ambassador to France says United States President Donald Trump's invasion threats violate international law. Trump has said he wouldn't rule out using military forces to take over Greenland, which is part of Denmark. In January, Trump threatened to use economic force to annex Canada. He said again Sunday that he wants to see Canada become a U.S. state after being asked about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's recent claim that Trump is not joking about annexation. In response to a question about Greenland, Dion said such threats are not normal and violate the UN Charter. He said that merely threatening to invade another country is a violation of international law. Trudeau is in Paris to attend a global summit on artificial intelligence late Sunday evening following a dinner with French President Emmanuel Macron. Trudeau did not answer reporters' question about Trump's recent statements. Dion said Canada and European countries are working on a cohesive strategy to address Trump's tariff threats. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is also in Paris for the AI Action Summit. Trudeau and Vance were both at Palais d'Elysée Monday evening for a dinner hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron for dignitaries attending the summit. A government official said Trudeau interacted with various leaders at the reception Monday, including officials from Germany, Ireland, Finland, and EU, but did not specifically name Vance. Vance is expected to speak at the AI Summit Tuesday before holding bilateral meetings at the American residence. Last week, both Canada and Mexico were granted month-long reprieves from Trump's threatened broad-based tariffs. On Wednesday, Trudeau will travel to Brussels to meet with the EU leaders, an opportunity for Canada to shore up its relationship with the European Union in the face of Trump's threats. Dion told reporters Monday that Canada won't be successful in trade diversification unless that effort includes Europe. A hazardous waste facility that was the site of A deadly explosion that claimed the life of 37-year-old Ryan Conkin in 2023 has been ordered to permanently close after an investigation by the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, MECP. The incident occurred at Sonic's Products in the St. Catharines on the morning of January 12, 2023. Conkin was the only worker inside the building at the time. He was taken to hospital with burns covering 90% of his body, where he subsequently died. Conkin was recently engaged and had plans to start a food truck business with his fiancée, his sister told Awaz News. On January 7th, MECP charged Sonic's Products 2010 Inc. and its directors Steve Baker, Sharon Baker, and Tyler Baker with 21 offences under both the Environmental Protection Act and Ontario Water Resources Act, the ministry told Awaz News. The waste facility has agreed to submit a closure plan to the ministry by March 31st, following an Ontario Land Tribunal hearing regarding an appeal of ministry order, a statement notes. Emergency crews were called to the waste facility shortly after 6:30 a.m. on January 12, 2023 for reports of a fire and multiple explosions. Officials told Awaz News at the time that the explosions continued for upwards of 49 minutes. In September 2023, St. Catharines Fire Services laid a total of 84 charges against the company and its 3 directors under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act. Niagara Police also released a statement last November saying the 3 directors of Sonic's Products had been charged with criminal negligence, causing death, and arson by negligence in connection with the incident. Those charges have not been tested in court. Paul Morris, who served as the Toronto Maple Leafs PA announcer for 38 years, has died. He was 86. Morris died Thursday in Oshawa, Ontario, after a lengthy illness, according to the Mount Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery in Whitby, Ontario. Born June 28, 1938, in Toronto, Morris spent his entire working career at Maple Leaf Gardens in the sound department, as well as handling public address duties. Morris' deadpan delivery provided the backdrop to generations of Maple Leaf fans. Morris was at the microphone the last time the Leafs won the Stanley Cup in 1967, with Toronto defeating the visiting Montreal Canadiens 3-1 to win the series in 6 games. Morris acknowledged sadness at the end of the Gardens. Morris started with the Junior Marlies in 1958 and was elevated in 1961, succeeding Red Barber as the Leafs PA announcer. Barber had served as announcer for the building's opening in 1931. Morris retired at the end of the 1998 to 1999 season, giving way to Andy Frost. I am proud of it, Morris, speaking of his job as PA announcer, told the Toronto Star in 2016. I enjoyed having done it. It was a great job. Mike Ross became the Leafs' 4th PA announcer, beginning with the 2016 to 2017 season. His was the voice I grew up hearing on Saturday nights sitting alongside my grandpa. R.I.P. Mr. Morris, Ross said in a social media post. Morris is survived by Marion, his wife of 52 years. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.